Yo, it's Zero, and today I have another movie for you guys. What if Naruto was like Satoru Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen? I feel like, I did this what if a while ago, and I feel like it could be done way better, and I'll actually finish it here. Plus, the story could be more interesting with the way that I want to do it this time. So, if you do like Movie Mondays and you want me to keep doing them, and you like the movies that I drop on my channel, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new or you just haven't already. Also, the link to my Discord and my second channel are down below as always, as well as my intro music. And without any more wait at all, let's get started.
Let's get it. I'm a trapping fanatic, that shit automatic, so I cannot turn it on or off. Bitches all on my dick, then she hop on my dick. I'm like, why you keep hopping on and off? Yo, bitch all on my dick, she be doing the most. I tell her, little bitch, she so extra. And my gun up on me, but not run up on me. Niggas, they wanna fight, they some wrestlers. And you know 30K got the mop. Sacked up, yeah, I got them knots. Act up, get your body in a box. Told the demon, you know how I rock.
In this timeline, I don't actually want to have Naruto have Kurama or be the son of Minato and Kushina. Instead, they'll be having a daughter who they named Mito Uzumaki. On the night of the Nine-Tails attack, two children were born, that being Naruto and Mito. On the distant part of the leaf where the Gojo clan resides, Naruto was born, and his father, Satoru, he was very happy. He was ecstatic actually, but he knew he had a job to do, so he would rush to the other side of the leaf, where the battle was taking place. Minato was doing pretty good against this masked man who called himself Madara Uchiha, but when his comrade did arrive, it made everything easier for him as it forced the masked man to retreat. But the QB was fast and tried to stab into both Minato and Kushina. Luckily, Gojo stepped in the way to save them, and he did this by pushing them out of the way and using his limitless, but he has to seal the beast now as he doesn't have much time, and there's only one technique that he knows to do so. So he uses the Reaper Death Seal to help seal half of the tail beast into Minato. Actually, because Minato and Kushina will be alive here, I think half of it would actually go to Kushina and the other half would go to Mito. This would most likely be a request from Minato himself, as Gojo would tell Minato in his dying breath to look after his son, who he hasn't thought of a name yet for, and Minato would give him the name Naruto, as he would have named his son that if it was a boy, but he had a daughter. So Gojo would smile, taking his final breath and leaving everything else left to his son, as he was the clan head. Let's skip to, let's start with the 6-year-old Naruto, who was running around the leaf pulling pranks as usual. This time, he had someone who was joining him, Mito. She was basically like his sister. They always did these type of things together, having fun around the leaf, but Mito would usually get scolded harder than Naruto because she was the Hokage's daughter. And she would often leave Naruto alone as she had lots of training and studying to do. Naruto didn't really take any of that stuff serious. He knew that they were going to enter the academy in only a couple years, but his clan always called him a prodigy, so why would he waste his time studying? Everything will probably just come natural to him. Naruto, for the next year before his clan would really start training him, would just enjoy his time pulling pranks around the leaf and doing as he pleased. He didn't have, he was born with the 6 eyes, but he didn't have the access to Limitless yet. He wasn't able to use it just yet, but that would come soon, because on his 7th birthday is when he started to show signs of actually being able to use this power. His clan was ecstatic, realizing that he'll be just like his father, hopefully not as arrogant though. Naruto would then use his Limitless, for tricks. He would play tricks on people and use it to his advantage around those who would bully, like those kids around the leaf who would bully his friends. He would use it on them. Naruto, after unlocking his Limitless, or awakening it you could say, his strength, intelligence, everything would be doubled, as he perceived the world differently thanks to his 6 eyes, and he started to wear a blindfold as well. As you know, this is due to, what the six eyes can do for a person. But besides that, Naruto was really a regular kid. He didn't really like weapons or kunai or any of that. He was more of a hand-to-hand fighter, or he used his limitless abilities. Let's see. Actually, I'm not going to give him Reversal Red, or I forgot what the blue one's name is. I think it's like Lapis Blue or something like that. I'll probably look it up like when I get to it, I'll probably look it up so I'll have the correct name, or Hollow Purple. He won't have any of that just yet, but he is getting better and better with Limitless. After a couple of months after Naruto turned 7, something would actually happen. Wait, actually? No, there wouldn't be the Uchiha clan massacre because Minato is alive here, and he can clear the Uchiha's name. And I actually think Danzo would be exiled because of his influence in Leaf and how it was such a negative one. But other than that, everything really goes normal until Naruto's about 12 years old. This would be the day that they were taking the Genin exams. Naruto walks into class as usual, as many of the girls would stare at him upon him entering. They basically adored him, as well as Sasuke, as everyone thought he was cute, but he usually ignored these girls and went to his 2 friends. Well, he had a lot of friends, but these were the 2 people who he hung out with the most, Sasuke and Mito. He walked up to Sasuke and asked him if he wants to take another loss in a spar, and Sasuke gets enraged, standing back up. Well, once I become a Genin and I get stronger than you, I won't have to worry about losing anymore, and I'll find out a way to get past that stupid trick you have. Oh, you're talking about this? Naruto then goes to punch Sasuke, but he puts the Limitless between them, making it so, that he doesn't hit his face, of course. And Sasuke actually flinched, but Naruto began laughing, as Mito would then pull his ear. Stop playing in class, as Aruka's walking in now, so pay attention. Ow! Stop being like that. You're such a buzzkill, you know that? You need to loosen up. Just because you're the Hokage's daughter doesn't mean you have to try so hard. That's exactly my point. I do have to try hard to uphold my family name and my father's title. Yeah, I'm gonna become the next Hokage. I've heard it before. Naruto, you know it's actually good to have goals. Do you even want to do anything with your life? Naruto would rest his chin on his hand while looking out of the window that he sat next to, then turning back to his 2 friends. He looked a little serious, they thought, and they actually thought he was going to give them an answer, but then he shrugged his shoulders. I don't know. And then hit Naruto, saying he's such an idiot. Don't lead them on like that. And Naruto, he ignores it as the day goes on, and then it's eventually his turn to perform, the clone jutsu, and he does it easily, as well as passing many other parts of the exams. He's actually really proficient in genjutsu, and this has a lot to do with the 6 eyes, as I'll be changing, he won't really have domain expansion, as that won't be in this universe, but he has some genjutsu akin to it, if you know what I mean. But we'll see a little bit of that later. Well, that night, as the 3 of them were celebrating, or after their training, which they would call a celebration, they saw someone running through the forest with a large scroll. This person was then apprehended by the Hokage himself, as Minato would then capture Mizuki. Yeah, Naruto, neither Sasuke or Mito would have to do it, because Minato is here, and he'd still be... how old was Minato when he died? He'd actually still be pretty young when I think about it. I think he'd only be around 30, in his 30s, or somewhere around there. So he'd still be in his prime, you could say. The prime for a ninja, that is. The next day at school, the teams would start to be assigned, as I think they would actually start to look a little different here. So first we'll have, let's go over Team 7 first, as I'm taking Sakura out of this story. Wait, should I? Yeah, I might as well. No, never mind. I don't know why. My bad. So Team 7 would be, of course, Kakashi, Sakura. Let's go with, I think I'll keep Naruto here. No, actually, I'll do Mito and Sasuke. So that would be Team 7. Who should I? Okay, I'll be back when I figure out who I'm going to take out. Alright, so after about 3 minutes of thinking, I figured out that it'd be better for me to take out someone who's not really important at all to the story. Someone who I can like easily replace, and he'll actually be better with this version of Naruto basically, because Mito is the real replacement of Naruto, but we're still following this Naruto. So Naruto would replace Kiba on Kurenai's team with Shino and Hinata, as this would be due to his 6 eyes and her wanting to, her recommendation that she could help him, well, learn how to control them. But Naruto doesn't really care about that. He then waves to his other 2 friends who were stuck in the classroom waiting on their sensei, as he would leave with his own. Kurenai would then take them, well, let's say to a forest, as they would go to talk. This was a quiet place, as it looks like no one's ever been here. Naruto noticed this, and he would actually, well, break the genjutsu that he was in. And this would surprise Kurenai, as she would say, "You're pretty impressive. But other than that, there will be no more genjutsu. You passed your first test. Now, tell me a little bit about yourselves. We can start with you, since you want to be Mr. Flashy and break the genjutsu before your teammates even notice." Naruto sighs. "My name is Satoru Naruto. You already know that already. But I don't really have anything I want to do. So, if there's nothing else for today, I'm probably going to go home and lay down." Kurenai was actually a little surprised. Naruto was a prodigy. He would actually, looking back on his stats that she had looked up from the years that he was in the academy, he would have been Rookie of the Year if he actually studied and tried, or even applied himself. There was multiple times where it stated that he ranked far above his other classmates, but Naruto just didn't care to try at all. He had no purpose, and she wanted to give him that purpose. His other 2 teammates would introduce themselves, and they really wouldn't have any goals either. And Hinata here, well, let's see. I feel like she still would like this Naruto, but it'd be even harder for her to approach him, as this Naruto doesn't really care about anything. And he doesn't have a goal like the other one does. And Shino, I don't think Shino would be the type to approach his other 2 teammates. Well, he might talk to Hinata. I could see that happening. But Naruto, definitely not. He might be too flashy for Shino. But Kurenai tells him that they have a mission. Well, they have a couple missions due tomorrow morning, so don't be late. As this, what team are they on? Are they on Team 9? I think they're Team 9. Yeah, so Team 9 would head out, and the next day, they would meet up in this exact same location. Naruto was late, and this angered Kurenai. She would get onto him and scold him. But he's so used to this, as he would only look at her, tuning her out. It's just like the elders from my clan. What a bother. I didn't come here to get lectured either. I don't even know why I became a ninja. Why did I do that? As Naruto would turn his head, looking at the Hokage monuments, and then he would look at the face of Minato, as Minato had helped him out a lot and trained him a couple times, and he was basically his father in a way. But he didn't understand why the Hokage helped him out so much. Was it because he was fated to be the next clan head and he just wanted to get on good terms with them? Or was there some ulterior motive that he had? Naruto shrugged his shoulders and apologized for being late, as they would head out on their mission, and they would leave the Leaf Village. Kurenai would explain on the way there that they're delivering, well, this letter to the, to the leader of another nearby town, as it's very important and it's written personally by the Hokage, so they can't lose it. This is when a strong breeze blows by and it knocks it over a ledge that they were walking by, as Naruto would just look down. Great, now I have to go get it. Naruto would jump down off of the bridge that they were walking on, as he would begin falling at high speeds, and Kurenai would reach out her hand knowing that she can't grab him. They would all look over the edge and watch Naruto fall, and as he grabbed the letter and was about to hit the ground below, he then used the Limitless to stop himself. But he did get a little whiplash from his head rocking back so fast. Ah man, I'm gonna have a headache now. Whatever. Naruto then uses his strength, or his infinity, to then push himself all the way back up onto the bridge, and he hands the letter back to Kurenai. Come on, sensei, you can't drop it. We actually need this if it's written by the Hokage. She smiles, seeing that Naruto was actually taking this a little serious. Was it because the mission was from the Hokage himself? Or was the letter important to him in a way? But Naruto didn't really care either way. When they made it to the town, they were greeted by many of the people who were actually really nice, as they had to check into somewhere to stay for the night as it was late by the time that they arrived. After checking in to basically an inn, Naruto would leave his team once he knew that they were asleep. He began snooping around this town, as he wasn't suspicious of anyone there, thinking that they had any ill will. He was just curious, as he hasn't been outside of the leaf ever, so he wanted to explore a little bit, be adventurous. Maybe that's what he wanted to do, as he was kind of happy doing this, but he put it off as something that he was just curious. Naruto walked around, and then he eventually saw something that kind of shocked him. There was this shop in this town, but it was a rundown shop, but for some reason it kind of called to him. It was just a simple clothing shop and weapons item shop, but for some reason he felt like he's been here before, but why? And I don't think I stated this before, but in this story, Naruto's mother died while giving birth to him. So he really was an orphan, but he was taken in by his clan, of course. Naruto looks at this shop as someone will walk to his side. It was an older man, probably in his 30s, and he was bald. He had a beard, but he looked like he made weapons for a living. So Naruto looked towards him. So you notice my shop. It's a little run down, but it's good as new inside. Come on, let me show you some things. Naruto walks in and he sees all types of weapons and different things, but he's trained against weapons and none of them have ever really worked for him or worked against him, so he usually just fights with hand-to-hand combat and taijutsu. But it did intrigue him, because in this shop there was a headband. No, there was multiple clothing items that had, well, his clan seal or emblem on them. As he would question the man, does he know about the Gojo clan? Or Satoru clan, whichever one you want to call it. The man would actually then recognize the boy once he stepped into the light, because this room was a little dark. His bright white hair, those blue eyes, that piercing look, and that casual stance. Yeah, there's no mistaking it. He's that man's son. The man of the shop would then explain how he's met them a couple of times, and his family has really helped him out a lot. They even got his shop, well, they helped, let's think of a good story. They helped stop his shop from getting robbed a couple times when they were here. And he actually talked with who he presumes is Naruto's father a lot, as Naruto would then ask questions about his father. What type of person was he? And the shopkeeper would just say something along the lines of, he was fun, joyful. He even cracked a lot of jokes and abused his power sometimes, but he was a good person. However, for those who got on his bad side, well, those people aren't alive today. Naruto then had a chill down his spine thinking about it. Was this old man really that cool? How did he die then? There must be an answer. Maybe he should ask the Hokage when he gets home. Naruto would then ask the man, could he make him a new headband? Or, a new piece of, a headband basically. And the shopkeeper would do so, giving it to him the next morning, and it had his clan's emblem on it. As he would take it, and he would wrap it around his eyes. Alright then, let's head out. Kurenai was kind of confused on where Naruto had gotten that from, but she didn't want to question him, as they would head back to the leaf. They would then do a couple more regular missions for about a week or so, until they get summoned by the Hokage himself. Naruto walks into the room and Minato smiles at him before delivering the news. Team 7, or the team led by Kakashi Hatake, is in trouble and they do need a little bit of assistance on their mission. We do want to be careful because of what's going on during this mission, but I can easily transport you to their location, as they should have made it to Tazuna's home by now. They'll fill you in on what's going on the mission, and when they do, just make sure that you all come back alive. And complete the mission, no matter what. Naruto, I'm expecting a lot of reports on you from this mission. So, make sure you stay focused, okay? Naruto looks at him and he says, "Yeah, and when I get back, I got some things to ask you." Minato was shocked, but he smiled, teleporting them to Mito, who was outside training with Sasuke. As then, they saw Naruto. "Oh man, don't tell me my dad sent you here." "Yeah, you guessed it. Great. Now we can be back on the same team. This should be easy for us." Kakashi and Kurenai were a little curious on what they mean by that, but they should all work as a group nonetheless, and Naruto turned back to Kakashi. "Hey, wait a minute. Haven't I... No, I haven't met you before." This was because one time, let's go about 3 years back now. Let's just do a flashback right now. While Naruto was training on his own when he was younger, at night, he felt a presence, watching him, waiting on a moment to maybe attack him, but he could feel it. Someone's eye was placed right on him. It was as if they were studying him for the future, but he just passed it on as nothing until they threw a kunai his way and he turned in that direction. No one was there. He held this kunai and then crushed it in his hand. What a pain. Whoever that was, I'll make sure to get rid of them the next time. And this person was of course Obito, as Naruto did get a small glimpse of the red eye, but there was something different all about it. As he could basically see through someone's body and see their chakra lines, like the Byakugan, but not to that extent, as he couldn't see all of them. But an ocular jutsu was potent enough for Naruto to take note of, and he noticed that Kakashi basically had the same one. But he wouldn't question this either, as maybe it was given to him because he doesn't look like an Uchiha. But their training would begin. Kakashi would fill in Team Kurenai on their current situation, and Naruto helps train Sakura, Sasuke, Mito, Shino, and Hinata in chakra control and walking on walls and water, as this wasn't a hard feat to do, and because of his 6 eyes, he was able to learn how to do this really early in his life. Plus, he learned how to do it an easier way, so he can teach them that way instead. Eventually, time would come for them to go back to the bridge, and Kakashi tells them to be wary of Zabuza and the masked man. As when they made it to the bridge, Naruto took note of the masked man. That's a cool mask. I kinda want it though. Naruto then vanished from their sight. Where did he go? They would ask. And then Naruto appeared in front of Haku, snatching the mask off and kicking him in his stomach, sending him back. Zabuza swung his blade at Naruto's throat. However, it didn't even get close, as Naruto used the Limitless to propel him back, and he punched him in the face. What a pain. Are you guys just gonna stand there and watch me, or are you gonna jump in on some fun? Sasuke and Mito would look at each other before running at Zabuza, and Team Kurenai would go for Haku. I try to not leave people out like I kinda usually do in my what-ifs, as I disregard them because the story is based around Naruto, but I should be able to include them in this fight, as I think their team would work pretty good, as there's a reason I put them on this team. Shino sends out a large flurry of bugs that then disguise Naruto's presence along with Hinata's, as they would pop up on each side of Haku. Then they would both slam their palms into his side. Haku would spit out a large amount of blood before making eye contact with Kurenai, being put in a high-level genjutsu that forced him to the ground. Naruto then stood over Haku, and he wondered what he should do. Should he kill this person? He's never killed a person before. Why is he questioning himself? Does he have morals or something? Can he not do this? He's been through rough training before where he's almost died, but why is he hesitating? This is when Haku turns around, breaking the genjutsu, and tries to send ice pillars to stab through Naruto's chest. Naruto uses his Limitless, and he stops them before they even get close. And now he just looks down as his eyes begin to glow. And this is where we actually get to see one of his techniques, as it would be one of Gojo's curse techniques, but I don't know what to name it in this series. So I guess we could just... No, I don't know, so I'll just keep the name the same, but I don't know what it would technically be called. Naruto points his finger up and then flicks down at Haku, blowing through the bridge and creating... What would that be creating? Like, if he shot down at the water below and it created a hole, I think that would basically be like a whirlpool in the water from the reversal red technique. Naruto would then fall to one knee, actually being a little exhausted, as this was the first time he ever used something like this, especially to this degree. And it did blow a large hole in the bridge, so they're gonna have to fix that later, which is kind of a problem, but he doesn't really mind it, as his teammates would congratulate him and ask him what that was, and his sensei, she would be the most shocked of all, as she had heard things about his clan, but never this. This was something that she had never seen before. How could a Genin have this much destructive power, especially when he could just do it that simple, without any real hand signs? His clan was truly terrifying. Luckily, they were on the side of the leaf. Kakashi, Sakura, and Sasuke will be dealing, and Mito, I almost forgot, will be dealing with Zabuza, as Mito's speed was enough to catch Zabuza off guard, and then Sasuke's technique, well, he would actually have a lot of jutsu here. I actually think he would have a couple of lightning jutsu they would use on Zabuza, and right after that, well, a Rasengan would slam into his back, knocking him into a wall, which rendered him unconscious, as Team 7 would then win their battle as well. Mito and Sakura, and Sasuke would both turn back to Naruto at the same time, wondering if his fight was over, and they did want to gloat a little bit about their teamwork and how strong they had become. But they would see that there's a large hole now in the bridge, as Naruto was on the ground, as they could clearly tell that he was the one who had done it. And they would sigh. What a freak. God, he just can't stop messing things up, can he? Sasuke would start laughing, as this is such a different Sasuke here as well. And they would actually help finish up the bridge, and Naruto would be forced to fix the hole that he created himself. And then the two teams would begin returning back to the leaf. After a little bit of travel, when they make it back home, well, they would go their separate ways. And that night, during dinner time, Mito heard a knock at the door. Her father was already here eating dinner, so who could this be? And then, when she opened the door, she saw him. It was Naruto. Naruto, what are you doing here? I have something to ask your dad. Can you tell him to come outside? No, just come inside. Okay. And then Kushina would see Naruto running up to him and hugging him. Naruto, it's been so long. Where have you been? I haven't seen you in a couple months. Why did you stop stopping by? Oh, my clan started training me a little bit harder since I became a ninja. I just haven't fixed my schedule. And then she slaps him on the head. Yeah, right. I know what you're really doing. You're just lying around, vibing, as you call it. Just resting. But you need to start stopping by more. Naruto would start smiling as he couldn't help himself, as this woman just, well, she felt like a mom to him, as she was. And this was basically Naruto's family. Naruto then saw Minato sitting down, and Minato would ask him to join him for dinner, and ask if he did eat already, and Naruto would shake his head. He would pull up a chair and sit down. While they were eating, before Minato could even speak to Naruto, he would ask, "Who was my father? What type of person was he? No, what type of ninja was he? Was he someone truly admirable? Or, well, I don't know." Minato, well, he could clearly see the confusion on Naruto's face, as this might have been something that was troubling him ever since he was a kid. He only heard stories of his father after all. He couldn't really assume, and these stories that he heard, they were very limited. They were very short and right to the point about his father defeating great enemies in the past. And Minato would actually say, "This is great timing, actually. I've been meaning to tell you about him. But do you care if my daughter knows as well? As she doesn't know anything about your father. She only knows that he was a close family friend." Kushina, Are you okay as well with me telling the story in front of her? And begrudgingly, she would nod. He basically was gonna be her uncle, so I guess it's fine anyway. Minato would then smile. Alright, let's start from the beginning, or when I met your father Gojo, Naruto. Minato would then start the story in his academy days. At the beginning, when he was around 7 years old, a new transfer student had started going to the academy halfway through the year. He walked into the class. He was cocky, but Minato could tell he was strong just based off of first glance. And Gojo could tell Minato was strong, as he would ignore everyone, walking right up to where he was sitting and put his hand out. Hey, I'm Gojo. Minato, he was very shy in this time, so he turned and also shook his hand. I'm Minato. The two from this day forward really became best friends, as it was just easy for them. They were easily ahead of their class, breaking records left and right, and their main source of competition, it was themselves, as they pushed each other to new limits every time that they were around each other. Somehow they even got on the same team, and even the same Jonin squad. In the war, Gojo was so useful, as he did help, his team anyway, but even this couldn't save one of Minato's previous students. However, another one was saved, as she now lives somewhere else because she's a Jinchuriki for their village. But that's a time for, I'll save that for another part in this story. There won't be another part, as I'll try to cover everything in this one video, but that's basically the story. And he explains how his father died. As Naruto, after the story, he was quiet, and everyone turned to him. Mito was the most shocked of all, as she would look at Naruto. He's usually never that quiet unless he's asleep, and even then he's snoring. So what could he be thinking about right now? Naruto then looked up with the most serious face that he's probably ever made in his life at this point. And he was looking directly at Minato. Okay. How strong am I compared to my father? Minato would smile. You're not even close. It'll take you a couple more years to get to that strength. Maybe even a decade. Naruto would then stand up, thanking Kushina for the meal and thanking Minato for the story. As he then told Mito, I'll be stronger than him. I'll be twice as strong as him. And for my son, I'll make sure to stay alive. I'll keep his legacy going. And I might even take up his name someday. I'll make sure the Gojo clan is known around the world. Mito would smile, watching Naruto walk towards the door, and he then threw a kunai at the boy. Naruto grabbed the kunai and then threw it up at their ceiling, and then dodged a punch from Minato. You're quick, but you're not quick enough. As Naruto was backing up, another Minato was behind him, but this Minato couldn't touch him, as he had his limitless activated. You don't turn this off, do you? Well, I can't say one thing. You're more cautious than he is, so that might be a good thing. Naruto smiles as he would leave. A couple, of regular missions would go by for the next couple of days until Kurenai suggests her team to the Chunin exams, as when the test day arrives, they had to wear the written test? Yeah, the written test. I don't know how I forgot that, and I do these whatevs so much. He heads to where the written test would be held, and I don't really want to go over this, so we'll start here at the Forest of Death. So when Team 9, I think? Yeah, so when I'm just going to say Team Kurenai, because I think they're Team 9, but I don't even want to look it up. When Team Kurenai walks into the forest, they start their travels, running through, and they eventually do run into a squad. But this squad seems very dangerous, as it consists of a sand team. Gaara, Temari, and Kankuro now stare them down. Naruto stepped up, as he could tell that Gaara was a Jinchuriki, but it seems that he has the weakest tailed beast, as his strength is much less than Mito's, or the tailed beast inside of him is. And he notices his other two teammates as she was holding a fan, but she was staring at him in a weird way. And he waved at her, wondering what she was doing, as she then blushed. Oh, that makes things easier. Shino, you fight her. Hinata, fight the weird-looking one over there. Did you just call me weird-looking? Kankuro would yell out, and Naruto would nod. Yeah, I'm gonna kill him. Kankuro goes to rush forward, but Gaara's sand would stop him. Don't be an idiot. Look at him. He's cocky for a reason. He must be strong. Naruto would then smile. At least you can tell one thing. But I've been meaning to test out this technique again ever since I lost it. And since they said killing is allowed, I'm gonna use it right here and now. Naruto then begins to glow red, but before he could launch the attack, Hinata stops him, whispering in his ear, Don't use that attack. What if you hit someone who you don't want to hit from behind them? Naruto then thinks about it. You're right. I guess we're just gonna have to deal with it. Whatever, I have a new attack anyways. But I'll save that one for later, just in case things get sticky. She would nod as the fight would then begin, as I'll just go over them one by one, as they're all going on at the same time, so it's not really like try to keep up, just know that they're all going on at the same time. Shino would then throw a punch at Temari, who blocks with her fan, as she would then throw him up against a tree. Luckily, because of the training that he had in the Land of Waves arc, he's able to just stand on this tree and send more bugs that swarm her. These bugs are able to get past her defenses, and even past her wind jutsu that launched Shino back into the tree. And one of these bugs would bite her arm, rendering it, it would basically make it numb to the point where she couldn't use it, as another bug would do the same to one of her legs, making her fall to one knee. Naruto could see this from his fight and would smile, saying that Shino is so smart. He wants to be like him as well. Shino would then run up to Temari, and he would knock her out actually. This was a clone that he knocked out, so the girl would fall over, and then a huge gust of wind would slam him into a tree, catching him off guard. But Shino's bugs would also fly towards her again, but these bugs were also blown back. There was nothing he could do. Even if he got in close, he wasn't good at taijutsu. All he could do was stall this fight, so he would jump higher into the trees and use his bugs, as decoys, so that Temari would follow him. This way, he could hold her off until Naruto or Hinata could come to his aid. Over with Hinata actually. She was doing pretty well against the puppets of Kankuro. It's just her stamina wasn't good for these long-term fights. She was able to break some of them, but they just kept coming, and her puppets, his puppets, goddamn, a car just came by. His puppets could move in such a way that wasn't human, so it was harder for her to predict their movements. And because they weren't human, her Byakugan was basically rendered useless. She wonders why Naruto told them to fight these opponents when they wouldn't be good at fighting them. Why did he do this? Did he want them to be uncomfortable in their battle for some reason? Was he testing his teammates? Maybe he was, so maybe she did have to win here. She would keep on fighting as long as she could, until one of the puppets caught her off guard, and then punched her in the face, slamming her down into the ground. Naruto saw this from the corner of his eye, and would go to her aid, but sand would stand in his way. Where do you think you're going? Your fight is with me. God, you're annoying. Whatever. If you want to be defeated so badly, then who am I to stop you? Naruto rushes in and punches at Gaara, but sand comes in his way, and this is weird for Gaara, because usually he can feel the attacks from his sand, but this time Naruto's fist doesn't even make contact with the sand because he uses Limitless at the last minute. Or his Infinity. I don't know why I keep saying Limitless, that's just the name of it, the overall thing. But Naruto would flip, doing a backflip and kicking Gaara in his chin, sending him into the sky. As now, this is where he pulls out his reversal red, and he shoots it at Gaara, as he would try to use as much sand as possible to block the attack, but it goes through and hits him in the chest, ripping off his clothes and blowing, his sand to, actually that doesn't make sense. Blowing his clothes to pieces basically, but not killing him, just heavily injuring him and leaving a scar on his chest. Naruto turns back to where Hinata was to see Kankoro's puppet about to put a blade to her throat, and he knows that he's too far. Even with his speed, he won't be able to get there in time before she's cut. So what should he do? He needs more power. He needs a way to get closer to her or to get her to him. Naruto reaches out his hand, and in his moment of desperation, this is where he unlocks... I forgot what it's called. The blue one. Hold on, I'll be back. It's called like Lapis Blue or Lapis Blue. I don't even know how to say it. It's something along those lines. So here's where he unlocks it, and he pulls Hinata to him, and he saves her, holding her in his arms as he looks back at Kankuro, this time angered. Kankuro then loses sight of Naruto as Hinata would then fall to the ground. Before he even knew it, a fist would land to his side, sending him through the forest. As Naruto would look back up to see Shino, who had also lost in his fight, and he would do the same to Temari, sending her away as he had to, wait for his teammates to recover. But he did take their scroll, so that's good at least. Naruto waits, and then after about an hour or two, they would wake up, and when they woke up, they heard a scream coming from within the forest, as they didn't know what this was. Naruto could tell whose scream it was, though. It was Sakura's. But why was she screaming? What could have happened here? Naruto wanted to go that way, but his teammates didn't look like they could move as fast as he could. So what should he do? How could he help them? Naruto then did one thing. He created 2 clones, which actually surprised him, thinking that his limit was only 1. But he was able to create 2. He never tried it before, he just thought you were only supposed to create 1. And this Naruto does have a rather big chakra pool, but nothing like the original that we know. And that's simply due to him not being a Jinchuriki and not being an Uzumaki. But rather than that, he's pretty good at what he does. Naruto creates these 2 clones that would carry them to the battlefield, and when he makes it, he sees Sakura, who is captured, and Mito and Sasuke, who are knocked out. Naruto, this is when... let's add this to the story. Naruto may not have... there may not be cursed energy in the story, but let's go with cursed chakra. Naruto's negative emotions from all the hatred he feels from his friends being injured in this forest, this test of ninjas, it pushes him to his limits at this point. And Naruto, his eyes begin to glow. And this is where the genjutsu that I talked about before sort of happens. As I don't know what it's called, so I'll probably look up the name and then get back to you. The unlimited void would happen, but here it's a little different. The 6 eyes, they're a powerful dojutsu, and the genjutsu that they're able to cast, it doesn't have to be cast on one person that you look at or make contact with. No, this is a genjutsu that can be cast over a widespread area by Naruto. In this genjutsu, Naruto breaks all of their bones, all of the Sound Ninja's bones, as they would fall to the ground, and for some reason, this pain feels so real to them. As in the real world, they now became incapacitated, but Naruto, he passed out from this. However, his team was saved, and Mito and Sasuke would wake up, but Sasuke woke up sporting the power of the curse mark. After he woke up, he looked around to see that Naruto was passed out, but Mito had also awakened. He wasn't really ever jealous of the daughter of the Hokage, but he do remembers oftentimes his father and his older brother would talk about her in regards of her strength, and this sort of angered Sasuke to the point where he wanted to fight Mito here and now. He would turn to her, and she noticed this as well, as she would get ready, and she actually had a little control over the power of the Nine Tails, as her mother had helped her learn how to do this. And this is where their battle would begin. Sasuke throws a punch that she ducks under, and he would dodge her attack as well, as the two seemed sort of even. But After forcing more of the Nine Tails power out, Mito would gain the edge and also the win here over Sasuke, who was later calmed down by Sakura. They would wait, a couple minutes as Naruto would reawaken, seeing Mito. Don't tell me I had to babysit you the whole time. Yeah, right. I had to come save your team because it looked like you guys were in trouble. What the hell happened? I heard Sakura scream, so I instantly ran this way. And you and Sasuke were passed out. What happened? She then begins to remember a pale figure attacking them and leaving a mark on Sasuke's neck, which he still has. As the two teams would then travel together all the way to the tower, and when they met Kabuto, Naruto was a little angry. He could sense that something was weird about Kabuto, as if he was portraying himself as someone he wasn't. So Naruto would instinctively attack him, and he would take his team's scroll, leaving him there to fail the exams. As the two teams would then make it to the tower, where the preliminary matches would eventually be revealed. And because I replaced Kiba with Naruto, the first fight would be Mito versus Naruto. The two fighters would jump down into the arena, and the fourth Hokage and his wife would start to pay attention close, as they knew this would happen eventually, they just didn't know it would be the first match. So, Naruto looks at his opponent, studying her. They have fought on occasions, but that was just light sparring. It was never nothing like this, to this scale where he's allowed to go all out except for killing. Mito thought the same, but she also wondered how she would get past Naruto's defenses, as they seemed impenetrable. But she knew she had to in order to win and prove herself to her father and those watching that she is worthy to be the next Hokage in the certain future. She would rush at Naruto as he would just scoff, saying that this is a foolish move. But she then does something that Naruto couldn't have predicted. She vanishes from his sight, and from behind him, she would appear using the flying Raijin. Naruto turned and he easily stopped the attack using his infinity. Wow, you actually learned it. Yeah, I did, but that's not all. Multi-shadow clone jutsu. She would then use, Naruto's original signature jutsu, and multiple clones would begin attacking Naruto. Here's where he does something that she couldn't have predicted. Was he toying with her? He would have turned off his infinity here and began fighting these clones hand to hand, each of them rushing her with a different style of fighting, but he took them on with ease. Naruto is known for his hand-to-hand combat and his reaction time, so this was really nothing to him, and he enjoyed fighting each of the clones, as you could see a slight smirk on his face, as he could only think about becoming stronger in this moment. He then used, it's called Lapis Blue, I think, or Lapis Blue, to pull her in, and he lands a deadly punch to her stomach that knocks the wind out of her for just a moment, but she manages to regain her composure, slamming her leg into Naruto's side as well. This attack actually landed because he did turn off his infinity for a short moment to make this fight sort of even. Naruto wanted to enjoy every moment of it, as she did as well, and this was the only way he was gonna accomplish it. Sasuke, who was watching in the stands, could only feel jealousy at not being allowed to fight them as well, but whoever the winner was, he wanted to fight, no matter what. Naruto's team began cheering him on, as well as the opposite for Mito. Forgot her name for a second. And then Naruto began to get serious, activating the 6 eyes, or really, his activation is really just pulling up or pulling down his black headband. As Naruto looked at her, and then he put her in a genjutsu that actually everyone else in the arena could see. Minato didn't know that he had, access to this power already. This was shocking, as he knows that Satoru Gojo, when he was alive, he was able to do things like this, but it took him a while to learn it from Minato's understanding. But it looks like Naruto's grasp of these abilities far exceed his father's, and he smiled at this, wondering what type of shinobi Naruto would become in the future, and if he wanted to become the Hokage, or if he just wanted to get stronger and become a top-ranked Chunin around the world. Naruto, well, in this genjutsu, would then slam his fist into Mito over and over again. And in this genjutsu, for some reason, she had no access to any sort of chakra, as it was just blocked off. It was like she was in a negation zone, you could call it, where only Naruto's rules applied. Naruto? Well, of course he would win, easily knocking her out and smiling at his victory, as he would look up at the Hokage and then go back to sit down with his team. One thing that really irritated Naruto was the fight between Neji and Hinata. She was his teammate after all, so he was cheering her on until she had lost to him, and Neji wanted to keep going. This angered Naruto. How could he have so much, malice towards someone who's his family? What did the house of the Hyuga do to him? There's a reason for this. There's always a reason for everything that Naruto knew. He may have been laid back throughout his whole life, but he noticed things, like how harsh some of the clans were on the kids. Sure, his clan was harsh on him, but they couldn't really do much about his carefree attitude, whereas all these other kids had to obey their clans. Naruto didn't like this at all, and that was going to be the first thing that he changed after becoming a Chunin. He wanted to petition for it, or just make it happen, even by force. The rest of the matches would go on as usual until, the rest of them would go on as usual, and then we have, a little skip into, because Jiraiya wouldn't come to train Naruto because he's not Minato's son. He would still come to train Mito and report to Minato. So, yeah, we can just skip to when the Chunin exams would continue. And let's see. The first match, let's keep it the same. Let's go Naruto versus Neji. The two fighters step down into the arena, and before Naruto jumps down, he looks at Hinata, who was there watching the fight, as he put out his fist. "I'll make sure to beat him for you." She would smile and bump his fist, wishing Naruto good luck, but then, after he was gone, Shino would tell her that Naruto doesn't need luck. Because of her, he's determined to win this fight, even if it does cost him his life somehow, in some crazy way that could happen. Naruto is gonna win, no matter what. And she nods, agreeing, as their sensei is supportive as well, as she wonders how Naruto wants to win this fight. The fight would then begin, as Naruto was actually the one to take the offensive, rushing at Neji, who got in the usual Hyuga stance. Naruto would get in his fighting stance once close to Neji, and the two would go back and forth, with Neji countering some of his hits, but Naruto's movements began to speed up as he landed more strikes to his chest and his side, and eventually his face as well. Naruto would then begin speaking as he was hitting Neji. "You see, it's flawed. I don't know why you follow something that's so flawed. You're open on almost every strike after I land on you. Your form is deteriorating. Do you really call this, perfection? Is this truly your defense? Is this all you can mask? Is this what you used to defeat Hinata in such a cruel way? Just kept bombarding her with hits that you knew she couldn't handle? And what if I were to defeat you this way? Would that lead to embarrassment? What would your clan do to you? Come on, tell me." Neji would then tell Naruto to then piss off, as he actually used the 360 palm rotation, but it did nothing, as Naruto only grabbed his hand, picked him up, and slammed him into the ground with ferocity, throwing him over his shoulder as he did so. Naruto would look down at Neji. "Get back up. You know the fight isn't over. They're still watching you. They're like hawks, preying on the weak. They want to see what you can do. They want to see if you're going to give up. So show them. Show them what you really want. Are you going to keep fighting me, or is this the end for you? Was that slam too much for the mighty Neji Hyuga?" Neji would stand back up, damning the world, damning how Naruto was born in such a position of power, damning how his fate was already set in stone for him to become the clan head and change his clan, damning everything. Naruto would then smile. "Well, how about you become the clan head for the Hyuga?" "I can't do that. I'm a branch member, of course." Naruto? Well, he then smiled at this. "And who the hell says you can't?" as he then would look towards the Hokage. I don't remember any rules in that. It doesn't matter what the clan thinks. The Hokage and the elders get the final say in the village, and if they deem you worthy, along with some of your clan members, I'm sure you can become the clan head. So, will you change everything? Or will you let it continue going on the way it is? You know what? Hey, Hyuga. And then all the Hyuga would turn to Naruto, confused as why he was addressing them in the middle of the fight. I'm gonna change the clan, no matter what. An outsider? Hiyashi Hyuga would say, claiming something like that? Neji, defeat him in battle. Neji would rush towards Naruto as he would turn to him, and his eyes, well, they began to glow from under the mask. Not under the mask, under the headband, as Naruto would hold out his finger, doing a smaller version of reversal red, slamming Neji into the wall, but he did have to hold back a lot not to kill Neji or heavily injure him. Naruto would then walk over to Neji and point to him while addressing the Hyuga once more. He's gonna become the next clan head, and I bet none of you can do anything about it. You know why he's gonna become the next one? Because I'm gonna make sure he does it, no matter what. And he's gonna change the Hyuga, along with that girl right there. Naruto then points at Hinata, as they were all shocked, and Hiyashi calls it a bluff. But Naruto shrugs his shoulder, saying that he'll just have to wait and see in the future. The next matches would go the same, and Sasuke would arrive with Kakashi. This time, he did train a little bit more, and I say this Sasuke would still be relatively the same as the one we have in canon, as his battle with Gaara would then begin. Mito, along with Sakura, were still in the stands cheering on Sasuke as he fought his battle, but Naruto began to notice something. People were moving into the village, or moving around it, at a fast rate, as something was coming. Naruto would walk over to the Hokage, getting past his guards because Minato just tells him to let him through, as Naruto then addresses this to Minato, and he tells him to get ready, along with Kushina, who still is a shinobi in this timeline, actually a high-ranked Chunin that's known around the world, along with Kakashi and many other ones within their village. Naruto would then go back to sit down, as he then puts, basically a force field of limitless, or infinity, around this dome, or around the Chunin exam dome, creating a sort of barrier until someone tries to enter it. And this is when the attack on Konoha would begin, with the screams of Gaara. Many people who were there actually weren't put to sleep because of the genjutsu couldn't breach the barrier that Naruto had put up, but then he releases it and the genjutsu would still fall, but they were ready, and the Leaf Ninja would be dispatched into the village to help those who they could and fight off the attacking shinobi. Naruto would look back down at the center of the arena, and he would see that Gaara was leaving along with Sasuke chasing after him, but Mito says to leave it to her, as she's been doing her own training with someone special to their family, and she'll introduce Naruto to that person after, but she goes with Sakura to chase after Sasuke, and Kakashi tells Naruto to come with him, as they have a different job. Naruto would go to where his clan is first, to see that a bunch of them, they were easily protecting their clan, so he wasn't worried about them, along with many other clans, and because the Leaf still has the Uchiha clan, this fight was more in their favor, along with having Minato, but he was preoccupied fighting a hard battle against Orochimaru, as Kushina wasn't able to get into the barrier that was blocking her out. But Naruto saw that Orochimaru had revived some of the past Hokage, and he wanted to go help his foster father, basically. So he walked up to the barrier, and Minato saw this, telling him that he can't break it, but Naruto only smiled. Yeah, is that so? Well, did you ever try to break it like this? Naruto then released a monstrous amount of pressure using his infinity, while also using reversal red to push it and break it. Naruto then stepped through as a bunch of the tiles of the rooftop were blown away as well, and he tells Minato that he'll take care of the two Kage and he'll just have to worry about Orochimaru. Minato smiles and leaves it to Naruto, as he would rush, punching at the first Hokage, who easily blocked, and then the second would swipe his sword at Naruto as he's almost cut. But if he didn't have his infinity active, it would have been goners for him. Naruto would turn that way, and he would blast away the second Hokage while then turning to the first and landing a devastating blow to his side. This actually ripped off a small part of him, but he regenerated it and then started using wood release on Naruto. This is where something crazy would happen. Naruto would be put in a wooden cage for just a moment, and he could feel his chakra or his infinity getting weaker, so he instantly broke it and went for Hashirama, and he would easily, he began losing actually, as the wood release was just strong, and it was just hard for Naruto to keep up with it, as this is the ability in this world that can negate his infinity, along with the future ability, or, I'll get into that in the future when it does happen, but I will be adding that as well. Naruto would go blow for blow with Hashirama until Minato defeated Orochimaru, killing him actually, as this is what got rid of him. Minato would then look back over at Naruto, who was still standing, blood all over his body as he had multiple injuries from fighting the two Kage. It might have been too much for him at his young age, but he did do well to keep them away from Minato while he was fighting Orochimaru, that way he could stay focused. And this helped Minato end his battle faster, as he then overlooked the leaf while looking at Naruto. He walked over to him and then put his hand on Naruto's shoulder. He began talking to Naruto, telling him great job, but there was no response from the boy. He then looked down at Naruto to see that his eyes were closed, as he had passed out while standing up from exhaustion. Those abilities that he continuously used did have an immense strain on his body, and he was pushing himself to his limit for the village. And Minato, he admired that, telling himself that he'll have to push himself to his limits here as well. From all the kunai that were at different positions all over the Leaf Village, Minato would teleport and get rid of enemy ninjas with a single strike, killing them with ease, as Kushina then did something that shocked all of them. She would summon the Nine Tails, and this would scare away the rest of the people attacking the village. Until, while she was on top of the Nine Tails, she turned to see that Shukaku, the one-tailed beast, had formed as well, and her daughter was fighting it. She would go that way to assist, as the two would use Kurama to fight against Shukaku, and they would win this fight with ease. A couple days later, we see Naruto. He wasn't in a hospital, he was just resting at home, as he was kind of bummed out, but he was still recovering from most of his injuries. However, he did learn that he can heal himself. However, his healing wasn't that good. Maybe he needed a teacher for that. Naruto, he would walk around the village and would go to sit down at this restaurant. As he was eating in this restaurant, one person would sit down. He had a shark-like body and he was wearing black robes with red clouds, as he would begin talking about the Jinchuriki of the Leaf, saying that he needs to capture them soon. And Naruto, he could overhear this. This person would leave, as they began walking down an alley for some reason, and the sky began to get dark. Before they knew it, something stabbed through their body over and over again, until their head was cut off. But they were still alive, watching their body being tortured, and then their head began to get kicked and stomped on by a child with white hair. This was Naruto, and Kisame was put into, an unlimited void genjutsu basically, where Naruto was doing the worst things possible to him after hearing what he wanted to do to his friends. Naruto would kill Kisame while he was in this genjutsu, and then he would go to the Hokage's office. Minato hears a knock on the door, as his family was in the Hokage office along with Kakashi, who was a family friend, basically Minato's eldest son, and he would tell whoever it was to come in. Naruto walks in with the body of Kisame and throws it on the ground. Naruto then explains what he knows, what he gathered from Kisame, and the Akatsuki's goal is to capture I guess all the tail beasts, and Minato would take precautions as he would send out his daughter. Actually, no. He would probably send both. No, I got it. Here we go. He would send for Tsunade, and Jiraiya would actually be able to bring her back, as Tsunade and Jiraiya, along with Mito, his daughter, would then leave the Leaf for the 3 years, as Naruto would still be here, training on his own. He did this because he doesn't trust Jiraiya. He trusts Jiraiya, but Kushina doesn't trust him, along with their daughter. So, I mean, that makes sense. But, so they would have Tsunade, and Tsunade didn't mind, as I think she would actually like Minato a lot here. But that's what would happen, and I guess we can just skip into Shippuden now, as nothing else would happen in Naruto besides his heavy, intense training arc with Sasuke, along with him helping the Hyuga reform from within inside by using Hinata and Neji. And what I mean by training with Sasuke is a lot of genjutsu training and physical, sparring and stuff like that. And I actually think this would push Sasuke. I don't want to give him a Mangekyo just yet, but I definitely do think this would push Sasuke to his greatest strength. And I think this Sasuke would be, because of how strong Naruto is, I think he would probably be like way stronger than the original one that we have after the 3 years. And this is just after the initial 3 years that I'm talking about. Also here, I actually forgot to mention this. No, wait, no, he's dead. I don't know why I was about to mention Chisui, but yeah, he's dead. Never mind. I'm tripping. Actually, no, never mind. No, he's not. He's alive, because even if Danzo were to attack... No, yeah, Shisui's alive in this story. I'm literally tripping. Naruto would actually learn a lot from him as well, as the two had a lot in common. But I think Itachi would be able to unlock his Mangekyo by this time. Even if Shisui didn't die, I feel like he would be able to unlock it just somehow after 3 years. Cause even Kakashi was able to reawaken it. And so Naruto probably would, no, he wouldn't probably. He would definitely be, I actually think Naruto would be promoted to the rank of Jonin by the end of the time skip. And I actually think he would be working to, because Danzo's dead here, I think Danzo was exiled, and I think Naruto would definitely be working to take over the Anbu, or the root, and actually make them good here by using a bunch of different clans to instruct them. And if you weren't from a specific clan, you weren't allowed to enter it. That was one of their requirements. This is because Naruto wants to reform it and make it the most powerful version, and he wants to do it with the new generation. So people like Neji, let's see, I don't know about Shino. We go Shikamaru. Sasuke. Definitely Sasuke. I definitely want to see Sasuke there. Because Tsunade isn't here, Sakura is like the weakest person in the village, basically. No offense to anyone who likes her, but that's just facts. Without Tsunade, she's really nothing. Let's see. I definitely would put Ino there just because. And I think they would still have Yamato as like the head for now. Naruto, he was watching the village gate, and then he saw 3 people beginning to approach it, as he then noticed someone who looked completely different. After all, it had been about 3 years. She had long, beautiful red hair, and her face, it was as bright as the sky, as this smile radiated true happiness. Their eyes would meet, and only tears could come from her eyes as she would run to Naruto. Mito hugged Naruto close, as she said she'd missed him and Sasuke for so long, and Naruto would smile, telling her that she's getting soft, until she punched his stomach, but this attack didn't land, as Naruto in the last minute activated his infinity, and this was good because she had been training with Tsunade, so she did have super strength. Tsunade would walk up and she would look at Naruto, asking him something. Mito had told Tsunade about Naruto's minor healing abilities, but she wants to know if Naruto wants to study under a real healer, and Naruto would nod, telling her that he'll take her on that offer. So here, let's go. I'm actually going to change the Shippuden story. I actually want it to end way early. Like it's probably gonna end in a little bit. Now, let's see. Well, I record my videos in like 15-minute interludes, so I don't think it's gonna end in this one, but I think it's gonna get pretty close. So once they settle back into the Leaf, they would get word of Gaara being captured, so they want to deal with that first. And Minato would send out basically Team 7 and Team, let's see, who else? Yeah, Team Guy. I was trying to think of the other team that they sent, but Naruto would still be in the Leaf, as he would go to Minato's office, as they would still talk about the plan that they had formed. Minato then explains how he's been waiting to do this until everyone in the Leaf, or the youngest generation, has gotten a lot stronger, which they have by now. So, when they do return from their mission, they're going on an all-out attack against the Akatsuki, as he does think that the masked man who he fought long ago is within their ranks, as there has been multiple sightings of him, but he just wants to test out this theory by teleporting them all there to fight an all-out battle against them. And he wants Naruto, well, he's going to lead the battle as the Hokage, but he wants Naruto to be his second in command. Obviously, Naruto wouldn't turn down this offer, but he would question Minato if he doesn't want someone like Kakashi to do that. But Minato would nod. Not nod, he would shake his head, saying that this battle may be a little too personal for Kakashi if he tries to remember who the masked man is truly, because he knows that he's not Madara, after fighting him, well, once in the past. So, once they do return from rescuing Gaara, and this mission would basically go the same as it did in canon, well, the Akatsuki would strike again, and it would be Hidan and, what's his name? Hidan and Kakuzu would attack a town near the Leaf Village, and this time, here's where Team Asuma and Team Kurenai were dispatched, as the two teams would head that way, and Naruto, well, he would take his chances against Hidan, telling everyone else to fight the other person. Kakuzu. I keep forgetting. I actually like Kakuzu a lot. No, I'm going to stop myself right now because I'm going to start ranting. So I'm just going to go to the next 15-minute interlude. The problem with the fight against Hidan and Naruto, well, the problem for Hidan is that he can't actually land a hit on Naruto. He's become so precise by using his infinity over the 3 years. And the techniques that he's able to do with it, well, they don't cause any more strain on his body. So he's able to sort of spam them in a way until he runs out of chakra. So each time that Hidan would try to slash at his body with his 3-layered scythe, Naruto, well, he didn't have to move or anything. And after Hidan realized what was going on, Naruto would then simply punch him as hard as he could, sending out a lot of blood as he was crushing his internal organs, causing internal bleeding from within Hidan, as Naruto would then stab him through his chest with his bare hand. Hidan would cough out a lot of blood as Naruto would look directly at him. "Where's your base at? I plan to kill a lot of people who are in your ranks, so tell me where it is. Piss off, you brat." Hidan would then swing his scythe again, but Naruto would vanish using the body flicker, as this was also something that he learned from Shisui during the time skip, as Naruto wasn't really good with, no, he was good, he knew how to use regular elemental jutsu, he just really chose not to learn them as they didn't feel right to him. Using his clan jutsu just felt better to him. Naruto, well, I actually think this Naruto could easily kill Hidan by using Hollow Purple, by getting rid of every last part of his body. This is when Kakuzu, well, he would retreat, but I actually don't think he could, especially with Shikamaru there using his shadow possession. I think he'd be stuck there until Naruto could kill him. Or they would extract information by using Kurenai's Genjutsu or Naruto's Unlimited Void. And here's where this team would turn to the Leaf successful, with no casualties on their team, as Asuma didn't die here and they didn't need reinforcements either. Everyone returned to the Leaf around the same time, as Mito, well, he relayed the information to everyone that was going to be participating in this basically raid of the hideout. Let's see, let's just go through who I'd want to participate in this. Minato himself, Kakashi, my guy definitely. I'd probably go with Rock Lee too. I don't know if, let's go with Jiraiya, Tsunade, yeah, we can use them. Yeah, we have Jiraiya Tsunade, definitely Naruto, Mito, Sasuke, Fugaku. Yeah, Fugaku's still here, and he's not that old yet. So, yeah, Fugaku. Yeah, if I didn't say already, I'd probably go with Itachi as well. Damn, I'm trying to think. Sasuke, Mito, Kage. Yeah, I think that's around it. And Kushina, if I didn't say her either. But yeah, this would basically be the squad that they're gonna run. So they would actually teleport. First, they would teleport to where the masked man was, and he actually was at the base of the Akatsuki, as they were having a meeting on why they were losing so much. But this is where we actually see something. Well, this Naruto, that over the 3 years, Naruto did change, is what I'm basically saying. He became a little more serious when he fights, as you could see that with his Hidan fight, as he wasn't really taunting him much, he was getting right to the point. And when they teleported in, Naruto instantly used Hollow Purple to eviscerate the rest of the Akatsuki that was on the other side listening to the masked man. And so Minato himself would teleport in, and he teleported everybody in along with Naruto, who did that. And Minato himself, he would fight the masked man again, but this time Kakashi would use his own Kamui to help Minato fight, as they would capture the masked man and they would reveal him as Obito. And this is really where the story would end, as there's not much more to go over. However, I will add this at the end for those of you who like these sort of cliffhangers. 5 years. Yeah, that's a good amount. So Naruto, they'd be around like 19. 5 years later, Naruto, his use of the infinity and the limitless technique had become so proficient, he could sense things around the whole earth basically. He could sense things to the moon. This is when he also sensed someone who was looking down upon the earth. Someone who had a malicious intent towards the Hyuga clan. Toneri Otsutsuki. As Naruto would look up, and Toneri would look down at him through his telescope. And the two basically make eye contact, as this shocked Toneri. And Naruto, he would jump to the moon using his limitless technique and using, it'll be easy for him to breathe in space because he could just use his infinity. So he would land on the moon and walk into Toneri's castle, where he would be met with the Otsutsuki's pale face, as he would look at him. "Who are you?" Naruto would then smile. "I'm the strongest, of course. Naruto Satoru."